In a lot of fantasy leagues, the trade deadline to make any type of moves is this week, which means it is our last chance to fleece our league mates, guys. Let's set ourselves up for a run for the playoffs, man. This is our last chance. We need to fix our teams so that you can get in the playoffs and then lose in the first round to the 6th seed, who's got like TreVeyon, Henderson, Jerry Jeudy, and a bunch of other bust stop magoos. Let's talk about some of my shot clock trade targets, guys. Last chance to get some of these guys. Now, this might be a little bit of a long video. I'm going to try to keep it under 15 minutes. We'll see how we do. We're going to talk about running backs and wide receivers. Thank you guys for being here. I truly, genuinely appreciate you watching this video, giving me your time. I really appreciate it. Like the video if you do want to show some love. Subscribe if you want to see more of my face. And let's get into this video. All right, first guys, TreVeyon Henderson, the best fantasy schedule for running backs in both the season and the playoffs. I just want to scroll down and show you guys, man. Coming up, dude, the next 3 matchups. Jets, Cincinnati, Giants. I mean, all 3 of those teams are just getting gashed by running backs. Unfortunately, a bye week. And then Buffalo, Baltimore, Jets in the playoffs. The Patriots are a good team, right? So any matchup is like a decent matchup for them. They are the monster, right? They are Walter White. They are the matchup that you want to avoid. So TreVeyon Henderson, man, going forward, I just think he's going to be an absolute beast, man. Ramondre Stevenson, we really don't know what's up with the injury. We just know it's a toe injury. That can be turf toe, which is like multiple weeks, just like Joe Burrow. And, you know, it could be just like a slight turf toe, which is like a sprain or a strain of the toe. So we just don't know. And I think he's already been ruled out for this upcoming Thursday night football game, I believe. I'm not entirely sure about that. And then this tweet right here, Mike Vrabel is expected to feed TreVeyon Henderson a big load on Thursday night. Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. You feed him that load, brother. Another tweet here from Josh Norris. Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon both have 82-ish carries on the year. Ramondre, 3.3 yards per carry, 2.9 yards after contact. You know, missed tackles forced, first downs per touchdown. And then TreVeyon, dude, 5.2 yards per carry, 4.1 yards after contact. Slightly less missed tackles forced, but, you know, more first downs per touchdown, 9 runs of 10 plus, 15% stuff rate. So he just has been playing better than Ramondre. I mean, we know Ramondre fumble Magoo, dude, bust out Magoo. Every time he gets the ball, there's like a good chance he's probably going to fumble. TreVeyon Henderson, if he's obtainable, if the guy who has him, which he very well could be down bad right now, like out of the playoff picture, if you can give him a good enough offer where he's getting like 2 pieces and you're getting TreVeyon in like a worse piece or a lesser piece, that's the type of trade I want to make. Which brings us to Alvin Kamara. Holy shit, dude. What a roller coaster ride Alvin Kamara's been on. All signs were pointing down for Kamara, man. 4 and 5 fantasy points, and then 0.2 fantasy points in week 9 against the Rams, to be fair. But then against Carolina, what the hell? 25 touches. He had less than 10 touches like in back-to-back weeks. And in week 10, dude, it was a better matchup. They were winning the game, 25 opportunities. Only 13 fantasy points, which isn't great. That's like less than, you know, it's like 0.51 fantasy points per touch. That's not great, right? It's a bad offense, a bad team. He's a little bit older. He doesn't look quite as spry and as like agile as he used to be. And he's also on bye this week. So, you know, it's not the best bye candidate, but because it's the deadline in a lot of leagues, sometimes you got to buy players that are currently on bye week, right? Coming out of the bye, they get the Falcons, who, yes, they just got dick slapped by Jonathan Taylor for 93 fantasy points or whatever, but the Falcons are generally better on defense, right? Like that was the Colts. The O-line they're built different. But after that, he gets Miami, smash start. He gets Tampa Bay. They're kind of hit or miss. TreVeyon Henderson just fucking gashed them. But remember, TreVeyon Henderson and Kamara are complete opposite players at this point in their career. TreVeyon Henderson is the big play guy. Kamara is kind of like the dink and dunk guy at this point. So that could be a tough one, but the schedule is really nice, guys, in the playoffs. Carolina, Jets, Tennessee. All 3 of those are pretty decent. Carolina is actually not the best matchup for running backs, but Jets and Tennessee, dude, we love that. And he's being much more involved. I think he's a great trade can at the moment. I would personally put him in like the top 24 rest of the season, just off of the name, off of the schedule, off of the increasing workload, hopefully, especially coming out of the bye week. Maybe the team is like, all right, guys, let's just feed Kamara. Judkins up next, guys. Look, his usage is not ideal, especially when they're losing, especially on 3rd downs. He's a fantastic talent individually, but he's attached to this anemic offense, man. If he doesn't get into the red zone, like within the 10-yard, within the 5-yard line, he's probably not going to get a touchdown, which is very problematic for a running back like him. He's kind of like Derrick Henry. He's like Derrick Henry, but on a worse offense. And they take him out of the game on 3rd downs, which is really unfortunate. I mean, for Jerome Ford, come on, dude. There was a ball that went right through his hands. And he's supposed to be a better pass catcher than Quinshon, but he fucking bottled that, so I don't know. The reason I do want to trade for him, guys, is the schedule yet again. 5 stars according to Fantasy Pros. But here's my hesitation, man. Although it's a good schedule, we see like Baltimore, we see Buffalo. Those are good matchups, quote unquote. But those are like good matchups for good teams, right? Like if you're a team who comes out, slaps them in the mouth, runs the ball on them, and has a competent enough offense, they've been kind of giving up points to running backs. But is Dylan Gabriel going to smack them in the mouth? Is he going to come out, guns ablaze, guns akimbo, and just smashing them and go up like 14 points early, and then they're just running the ball with Quinshon? Probably not. But the upside here is that they are bad against running backs. They do give up points to running backs. We're hoping Quinshon can capitalize. This is just to show you guys what I mean by that. This is the points per game allowed to running backs for the rest of season opponents. 7th most, 17th most, 16th most, 3rd most, 15th most, 6th, and then 24th in week 17. Next, we got my fucking boy, dude. I've been talking about this guy for like the 6th week in a row. It's Chase Brown, buy candidate. Ever since I started talking about him in, I think, about like week 6, since Joe Flacco got acquired, his value has about doubled, man. He's been fantastic since then. He's been about an RB1, like borderline RB1. And despite all the jeers from the Discord community, all the people laughing at me when I made the trade for Chase Brown, we've persevered, man. We've weathered the storm, and he's been an RB1 the last 3 weeks, about, borderline. So I'm talking to you, Cameron. Chase Brown is Himothy. He is him. He is inevitable, and it looks like he's might have another second half of the season, man. He did this last year when he became the starter over Zach Moss. Was an absolutely fantastic player. Probably won a lot of people fantasy championships. And it looks like he might be able to repeat that, man, because his schedule is absolutely juicy, man. This is a chart thanks to Ian Harditz on Twitter. We see here Cincinnati have the 4th easiest schedule for running backs. They have 2 tough ones coming up. So they play in week 11 and week 12. We see Pittsburgh and New England. New England is New England, I might be benching him, even though he's my only running back. But after that, man, 25th best, 27th best, 25th best, 26th best, 18th best. It's fantastic. He has one of the better schedules. Samaje Perine is dealing with a high ankle sprain. So even if Samaje Perine comes back in the next couple weeks, is he going to be as effective as he was? Where he was honestly taking work away from Chase Brown in those recent weeks, but it's because he was effective in his role. Where it's not just because Chase Brown was bad. So there's a chance that Samaje comes back whenever he does, and he's just not as effective. So they're just like, well, sorry, Samaje, you were great for us before, but the high ankle sprain, it's a very tough injury to come back from. So I don't know, man. I just think he might be a workhorse. He had like a 96% usage rate in the last game. We see here 96% of the snaps. So this is wheels up, man. He led all running backs in week 9 with 30 expected fantasy points. Unfortunately, he only had about 15 fantasy points because, 14 targets. He only got 8 for 75, doesn't get into the end zone, had a tough time running the ball on the ground. But let's go, man. Let's go, dude. Chase Brown, please bring us to the promised land. The schedule is nice. The offense is humming. They're expected to score like 26 plus points every single week. So I'm excited, dude. I'm very excited. I have a bonus name for you guys. It's going to be RJ Harvey. Another one, it's going to be tough to get. Here's the idea, man. If the owner of Harvey is dealing with a newborn like I am, or they're living under a rock, maybe they aren't aware that J.K. Dobbins is a candidate for IR. He's not on IR yet. He might not get put on IR. Injures his ankle. Even if he doesn't go on IR, he could miss multiple weeks here, 2 or 3 weeks maybe. And Harvey is an actual league winner, guys. I didn't want to put him as like an official trade for candidate because it's dumb, right? Like most people are aware that J.K. Dobbins might be on IR, but guys, this is an 8-2 Broncos team. They're leading the division pretty handily at the moment ahead of the Chiefs. They're 8-2. They look great. They want to run the ball. RJ Harvey has been pretty good in limited work. He has one of the better per touch fantasy point production numbers on the season. So if you can grab him, right, I do think he has like legitimate league winner potential. I know we throw that word around all the time, but I really do think he could be a league winner. All right, next up we got Nico Collins, guys. Very simple thesis. 29 expected fantasy points in week 10. He finishes with about 20 points, so he actually underperformed. But the expected, we love it. That means he's getting opportunities, right? 15 targets. I will say he kind of padded his stats a little right before halftime. He gets like a 52-yard bomb, which wouldn't have led to points anyway. But we love it, dude. That's 5 or almost 6 fantasy points just for free. So we know what Nico is capable of. We know the comparisons people were saying he's like Julio Jones combined with fucking, I don't know, Mahatma Gandhi or something. So 3 straight games with 10 plus targets. And he is absolutely the alpha on this team. We see this chart here, 45 routes run, and his targets per route run is 33%, man. We love it. First read target share was 29% on the season, and it was 39% in week 10. So he's getting first reads. He's getting massive target share. He's running the most routes. I think he's back, guys. I really do think he's back. And, Davis Mills understood the assignment. Just feed Nico Collins, get him the ball as many times as possible. He's the most overpowered wide receiver that they have on the team. I think Stroud, sitting on the sidelines, saw that, hopefully, and he's going to be like, all right, I'm coming back, and I'm just going to feed my boy Nico, dude. I know who butters my bread, who signs my paycheck. So let's hope that if it's Stroud, he continues feeding him. If it's Mills, wheels up. They play Tennessee. They have a pretty decent. It's actually a difficult schedule for wide receivers, to be quite honest with you guys. They get Indianapolis in week 13, Kansas City in week 14, and then in the playoffs, it's not too bad, but they do get the Chargers in week 17. So that's a very difficult matchup for wide receivers. But I do think Nico is someone who is kind of matchup proof slightly, but obviously we don't love that. Justin Jefferson up next. Look, I don't think his value has ever been worse. I heard other fantasy football YouTube channels saying that he's out of their top 12, that they take Nico over him. They take like a bunch of guys. They take Devontae Smith. I heard somebody say Devontae Smith over Justin Jefferson. It's kind of crazy. Fantasy Pros has him as 10th rest of the season. Look, man, he's got a 4-star seasonal schedule in terms of ease. So 4 out of 5 is very good. 5-star playoff schedule. I mean, if we just look at the playoffs, man, Dallas, Giants, Detroit. Those are really good matchups, man. Like those are potential shootouts. That Detroit game, okay, maybe not the best matchup, but it's a divisional game. Maybe the Vikings are still in it for a playoff berth. I doubt it, but maybe they are. Listen, the problem here is that he has a 1-star quarterback throwing the ball. McCarthy is pretty much butt cheeks. Let's just be honest, guys. He went like 20 for 45 in week 10. And honestly, like 10 or 15 of those throws, he was Uncle Rico throwing it over them mountains in the distance, man. It was absolutely horrible. He's skying guys, throwing it into the dirt. This is a gamble on talent. Justin Jefferson, he's commanding targets, guys. We see here 10, 11, 9, 12 targets. This is about 10 targets a game. Unfortunately, it's a 50% catch rate on them on the season. He must have been kicking it with Brian Thomas in the offseason, man. They must have been best buddies. They both went to LSU. So it's actually very possible they were kicking it, dude. But if you can buy him low, I do think there are better days. As we see here, Justin Jefferson vows better weeks are ahead. Look, at the end of the day, McCarthy has shown some flashes, but he's shown us more bad on tape, right? Let's hope that there are more flashes than bad moving forward. Obviously, he's a rookie, growing pains. Maybe he can like start to figure it out as the season goes on. They got a couple tough matchups, rather. Sorry. Green Bay, Seattle in weeks 12 and 13. That's not ideal, right? But then, as I mentioned, man, in the playoffs, it just gets really good. In a package deal, obviously, is probably how you're going to be able to get a guy like Justin Jefferson, but can you flip a Rome Odunze coming off a good game for him? It's possible, right? I mean, 5 fantasy points, dude. I think the owners of him are probably ready to jump ship. And Rome Odunze coming off a good game, but he's also kind of hit or miss. That's kind of the range of player that I would try to move up for Jefferson. It might be tough, right? Like, can you trade AJ Brown plus a piece and get like Jefferson and like a shittier piece in return, right? Like, so you're kind of tiering up to Jefferson, but tearing down at another position. Probably should have said this at the top of the video. Join the Discord, guys. We're talking ball, we're talking trades, we're talking sit starts, dope community. One of my favorite parts of this fantasy football channel, of this little community we're building, is the Discord. So make sure you guys join it, man. We'll help you out with specific trades. Like, it doesn't really make sense for me to go through trades on this video, right? There's just so many different variables, so many different trades. It all depends on your league. But let's move it along now, guys. We got the last name on this list, Ricky Big Dick Pearsall, Sticky Ricky. Look, he's been out since it feels like 2018. I don't know when this man's going to come back. Juwan Jennings stepped into the #1 role the past couple weeks. And I'll be honest, man, I watched the tape. Juwan Jennings is kind of unspecial, unserious, unspectacular. He's just out there, man. He doesn't make like huge plays. He's not super fast. And I think this team is really starving for like a down the field threat. I think Sticky Big Dick is going to come back, man. And let's not forget that in the first 3 weeks of the season, Big Dick led the NFL in receiving yards. He was actually #1, right? So he had like 108, 56, and 117 through those first 3 weeks. That was leading the NFL, man. He is an absolute beast. He's a really good down the field threat. Now, it says here that the team is hopeful he's going to practice this week. I don't know, man. I feel like they've been kind of whispering about that and saying that they hope he's going to practice for a while, but it really does feel like he might practice this week. Let's see. PCL sprains aren't the best, man. Cleveland is really the only matchup looking forward that's like a tough one, but everything else, man, is really good. Playoffs, they get Tennessee, Indy, Chicago. Those are 3 decent matchups, right? They're not great. I mean, Tennessee can turn into a bad matchup for wide receivers if you're winning by a lot, but they have a 4-star schedule on Fantasy Pros, which is good. Cleveland is like the only one that's kind of a little bit concerning. Tennessee could turn into a bad schedule, but keep in mind they do have the bye week, week 14, so that's one of the negatives too. Could be a positive as to how you can probably acquire him. Like, yo, he hasn't played and he has a bye coming up. I'm giving you a piece who doesn't have their bye and they're going to play every game for you. So the owner might be down bad. They might need the production. I'm going to list some guys that I would trade straight up for him. I know some of them might sound crazy to you guys, especially if you look at like Fantasy Pros rest of the season rankings. A lot of these guys are like way ahead of him, but these are just some names I would trade for him. Brian Thomas, straight up. Xavier Worthy, if you can, straight up. Jordan Addison, Debo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Tedero McMillan, Cortland Sutton, and Michael Pittman. I'll trade all of those guys straight up for Ricky Pearsall. I trade all those guys straight up for Ricky Pearsall. I just think he's going to be on a team that's really fighting for a wild card spot. they can't really run the ball very well, even with Kittle coming back. This is like a pass first team, the 49ers. So I think Big Dick is going to come back. Sticky Ricky Pearsall is going to come back, step right back into that X receiver role where he's actually very good at it, right? Like I know it's not the best role to have, but he wins, man. He wins those contested catches, and there's always that possibility for like deep bomb touchdowns, and they're going to be really fighting to get into the playoffs, man. So I do think that Mr. Big Dick is like one of my favorite targets to get because he hasn't done shit. Maybe the owner of Big Dick doesn't really know what he's capable of. They don't know the power, the girth, right? The potential of of Mr. Big Dick. I'm gonna make that a thing. He's gonna be henceforth known as Mr. Big Dick, dude. So there's absolutely no chance that this video is going to remain monetized after I've said the word big dick like 63 times. But thank you guys, man. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate you guys giving me your time watching this video when you could have been watching others. Again, guys, join the Discord if you want advice on some trades, man. If you're looking to move some of these guys, or maybe some other guys, maybe you're looking at T. Higgins, some other guys, maybe you want to know what they're valued at, what types of players you should target. Make sure you guys join the Discord. It's a very dope community of dope dudes talking ball. We're helping each other with sit starts and waivers, as I mentioned in the video. But that does it for this one, guys. Good luck on your trades. Good luck with your weeks. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.